am Nakia Nikki Dade. I am your wealth builder and investor and realtor. I am here with my sister, Mamie, my ace. And this is going to be a glimpse of what's going to be on my channel. My channel launches March 28th. We're going to start off with this legacy conversation where I'm actually going to be interviewing women that are in my circle, that are close to me, whom I have impacted, as well as they have impacted me. They have watched my journey in this particular space. So we're going to just share authentic, true stories. And I'm excited here. So if you are just joining here, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel. And then what else do we want them to do, man?
Head over to Facebook and join the free group.
All right. So we're going to kick off this conversation to give you a little glimpse of what is going to be happening. So we'll start off first. Just how are money conversations in our house?
How were they?
Yeah, how were they?
They were non-existent.
Okay.
They were very much non-existent. And that's also because the era in which we came up in.
For sure.
And how our mom was raised.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't to say that, you know, we didn't see things that were happening.
For sure.
But very much non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so with that, again, we're not upset about any of that. We understand, you know, that our mom was a teenage mother. She was surviving, you know, she was a single mother as well, you know, taking care of 3 children, you know, alone. And so survival was the game back then, not trying to figure out how we're going to plan for the future.
No.
We were just trying to make it day by day. So,
and she made sure that we made it day by day.
Let's be clear. Let's be crystal clear.
Very clear.
You know, with the money that we did have, you know, she managed it in a way where we didn't know, you know, that our resources were as limited as they were. But as I became an adult, you know, I realized that I wanted to do things a bit different. And so can you talk about some of the things that I did with you that helped you on your financial journey and that helped change some of your financial decisions because we did not have those conversations coming up?
So I remember when you worked for DOJ. I'm not going to go too far into that.
No, you can.
But that's where...
And DOJ, for the people that may not know?
Department of Justice.
Okay.
And so I absolutely was in elementary school at that point. And I remember you opened my first bank account with Department of Justice. And I had never had a bank account. And at this point, I'm in elementary school, probably 5th or 6th grade.
Okay.
So that gives you some perspective of how old I was, right? So,
because we're how many years apart?
We're 8 years apart.
Okay, yeah. And then my brother and I, 16.
And you're 7.
Okay.
So once that bank account was open, I actually kept that bank account well into adulthood until I just no longer needed to have it. I got into Navy Federal because of you, but the Department of Justice.
Navy Federal is the what? The Bentley.
They are. You want some money? Go to Navy Federal.
And
okay?
This is not, and we're not getting paid for this.
Not at all.
Our own personal opinion. And let me also say this: we are not here. We are not financial advisors. We are not giving financial advice. These are our own opinions based on our own stories, and so we're just sharing them with you to help you grow and learn. Okay, go ahead.
So I had a Department of Justice credit union account through my summer jobs. I started to use direct deposit. That's where I learned about direct deposit. I learned how to write checks off of there. I had a checkbook. I had a box of checks. That's when people were still writing checks. Some people still try to do that these days.
We do. Me? What?
I don't understand it, but here we are.
Whatever.
So it was really in elementary school when I started to learn about money, not in an intimate way, but because you started that bank account for me. And of course, through my adulthood, that's what I had. But then I started to learn different things along the way about how you use the bank account, why you use the bank account,
and the importance
of it. The importance of staying in good standing, not being in the negative. Yeah, you may go in the negative, but that's not a good look. Okay? And I know things happen. Things happen to people, things happen. But your banking is very important. And I'm sure she'll cover that at some point on the journey with you guys. But it's very important. So that's where it really started for me.
Yeah. And so when you transitioned from, because we were going back from elementary school, then we're journeying into high school, and now we're in college.
Right.
What were some of the choices that you kind of made during that time that you did differently than you did in high school, if that makes sense? Like once you started learning about it, and because then you started venturing into credit, because I had to introduce you into credit.
Sure.
So I took you in phases. Go ahead.
Girl, when I turned 18, the things happened, okay?
What are the things?
But I mean, you apply for credit cards, you get credit cards, and you max your credit cards out.
We all did that. Predatory lending was that. It was a big thing back then.
Absolutely. And so in college, to be honest with you, I learned how to stretch $20. That's where I first learned how to stretch my money. And I love my mama, but she wasn't sending us no money. No, she was going to get those groceries for me. She was going to make sure I had clothes. She was going to make sure I had all of my essentials. But that extra, I had to call Big Sis, or I had to call Big Cousin Lisa.
We had resources. We had
very
a really
thankful
good
for those.
money circle, actually, I would say, because not only were we able to call our cousin, we were able to call our grandmother.
Yep.
You know, you may not have had this additional layer, but I had my godmother, you know, and honestly speaking, I will share, like when I was in school, when I was embarking upon that journey, my family extended beyond just my immediate family to my gosh, let me get this up, because I get all excited and emotional about it. But she was my boss, and who is now my mentor now, and a very dear friend of mine, Betsy. And she was the one that actually, I talk about this, and I will talk about this a little bit more. She signed on my first loan for me, you know, for school. And so I can't remember. Did you have to get loans too while you were in school?
So I did have to get loans while I was in school, but I was able to do them on my own. But in talking about mentorship, my mentor, Jan, you
have to talk about that.
She co-signed on my first Dell computer that I needed for school. And Jan was such a vital person in me going to school. She was college bound, is where we met. And Jan would take me out on the weekends, and she would take me very much so. Yep. Yes. Every time we go to New Orleans or Louisiana, we see Jan.
I love it.
Or every time she comes to DC, we see Jan.
I love it. I love Jan. Show that your family extends. I want you to finish talking about Jan now. I want you to give her due share.
So Jan, she signed for the computer for me, and she essentially paid for it for me because she knew how important it was for me to go to school, to be able to do the things that I needed to do. And so I'm so forever grateful to Jan, and a lifelong friend. And I really appreciate her friendship today too.
Exactly. And you know, again, with it being Women's History Month and highlighting women and important women and queens, you know, as I affectionately call all the women in my circle, because I've had a lot of phenomenal women that have impacted my life in so many different ways. And so that was part of the reason too why I wanted to launch this now in homage, and pay homage to them, you know, because I wouldn't be where I am, you know, today if it wasn't for those women that were in our circle. She wouldn't be where she is, you know, if it wasn't for the women that were in her circle that really took her, you know, under their wing and showed her the way. So I truly feel that women are always going to reach down and teach the next generation. We each one teach one, you know, and so that's what it's about. I would love to hear a little bit on how you also saw some of the impact that I had on our brother as well. And I don't know if there were some things that I did differently with him. I tried to do the same with both of y'all, but you know, some things require different lessons for different personalities. So,
for sure.
But for the most part, I tried to do the same thing. But talk, you know, since he can't talk on his own.
Right. Love him dearly.
Yes, we do.
So I think out of the three, meaning me, my mom, and my brother, I probably am the one that listens the most.
Do you think so?
But probably the one that checks her the most. But I am the one, when given advice, I do listen the most. Because
I don't listen to advice.
No, I'm talking about Ma, Lo, and me.
Out of the three.
Yes.
She's saying, out of the three of my immediate family,
Yes.
because I'm always giving advice, unsolicited advice.
For sure.
Shut your mouth. Out of the three of them, she's the one that would listen.
I think so. Wouldn't you say that?
I would totally say that. Mom's like, Nikki, get off my phone. And then my brother's like, Nikki, think you know everything.
Yeah, so he was just used to do his thing. So I think your approach with him was much different than it was with me. But I also was high school, college when you were nurturing him. Yeah. So I don't really remember how that process went. We just know.
In the beginning, though, is what I'm talking about. Like when I was opening the accounts for everybody.
Well, you opened it for him earlier, of course, for him than you did for me, because that's just where education-wise you were in knowing, you know, this is when I need to do it, and this is where we should start.
Yeah. So, and that was what she's talking about is me seasoning the accounts. Once I started learning more and I grew a little bit more in the journey, then those lessons that I learned, I basically came back to share them with you guys, like I always do.
Yeah, yeah, always. And she always will give you something in your car for your birthday, but always say, you need to put some in your account. You need to put some in your account, which you do. You really do. You should listen to her. So I think his nurturing happened. I was gone, girl. I was gone. But I do know that, like I said, his banking journey started a little early because education-wise, with it, you just, you know, you learned more.
I think for him, too, I opened more accounts, too, in the same manner like I did for my son, because I realized that you needed to have polygamy with these banks as opposed to monogamy. And so I wanted to make sure that he understood that if your banking relationship wasn't reciprocal, then know that you had the choice to do something different if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I also introduced the concept of writing checks with him earlier too.
Okay.
Because I think we transitioned to checks and stuff for you really in like middle school.
Yeah.
For him, I started talking about that stuff a lot earlier. He also had a debit card earlier too. I don't know that did they give debit cards like to you?
No.
When you first?
I had to go down to the bank. That's when I learned how to go into a bank, how to fill out the withdrawal statement. Debit card, at that point, it was a little later on in my banking journey that it came into play.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So now how do you interact with your children? Some of the lessons that I've taught you, do you do the same things or you do it different? Like talk about some of those things.
Similar to what you taught me, but they had accounts before they turned 1.
So she was like, because this was nice. But let's start seasoning this in account now. We're seasoning it now.
So they had bank accounts both of them before they turned 1.
That's good.
And they are well aware of their bank accounts. They know that they exist. They see the statements come with their names on it.
I love it.
They can see how much money is in the account. And you know the little one is always watching. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Okay? Bam. So started very much early on with them. And even with college savings with them, I started early on because that's not something that, you know, we got to experience. But I wanted to start that early on with them. And probably when one gets to middle school, we'll get a little debit card. We'll see.
Hold on.
Clock it.
Because I try to stay up with the times, even though.
We're not gonna talk about the 6'7". She was moving her shoulders, and it's just your
hands. He tried to keep up, and I was doing.
She was giving body, and it's just your hands.
Bam Bam didn't even correct me.
He didn't. He was over it. Did you see him in the video? He was over it.
Don't do that.
Yeah, he was like this in the video.
That's not true.
He was. Go back and look at it.
Anyway, let's talk about how you used. Because I talk about this a lot. I always pretty much try to advise my clients that their primary residence should be used as their investment tool, and it should be that is their first investment. It's one of the largest purchases that you make. You know, maybe for some people in their lives, right? So use it as an investment vehicle. Talk a little bit about how you used your first property as an investment vehicle and how we were able to leverage things for you.
So
let's talk about that just a little bit more, because at the time,
uh-huh.
remember, I had just ventured into the real estate space,
Right.
and I was on the investment side, before, and I was so honored, because when you purchase your home, at the time I wasn't in the space, but at the time when you were thinking about offloading it, I was, and when you came to me, remember, I was so honored. I was like, oh.
Well, that also was the start of her getting more individual clients and not still working in the investment space, but just broadening her horizon. I encouraged her to do that.
She pushed me to do that.
I was her first client. Thanks. Thank you.
Because that's how we do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do it though, but she told me, she was like, Nikki, you really, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. You really, people need to experience the same things that I experienced. They need to have the same conversations that you were having with me.
Yeah.
They need to understand some of the methodologies and strategies that you were sharing with me. They need that, because a lot of people are not looking, as their home as an investment vehicle.
Yeah.
It is one of the largest wealth building tools. Now, there are others. Yeah. There are certainly others, but I don't know of too many that you can walk away with 6 figures.
Same. I don't know. And I
remember her telling me, I just want to look at my account.
No, but for real, I was like, oh, so that's what that looks like. But it was a time where we had 2 boys.
Yeah.
And we were outgrowing that house, or had outgrown that house. It was a 2-level townhome. It was a great starter home for us.
I also want you to I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get in trouble. But I want you to talk about, like, even how you purchased it, because you purchased it right too. That's why you were able to offload it right. Yeah. Talk about some of the programs that you used.
So, at that time, I used, I can't even remember the name of it.
I don't know the name of it, but it was similar to MMP.
It was a grant, and you had to use the home as your primary residence. It only required me to put down 1.5%, I think it was.
You see?
So I think
typically 3% is what you're going to be required to do with an FHA.
I think I put down $3,000. Yeah. And
you were in that house for how long?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years. And had I stayed 2 more, I wouldn't have had to pay it back. And I only put down $3,000. And
walked away with what? 6 figures.
6 figures. Yes. And a lot of memories were built in that home. But at the end of the day, new memories were going to be built with what we were able to walk away with. And that was priceless to me. And I followed everything she said.
They call me the sergeant.
By the book. And I came out on top because I followed everything she said by the book.
I love it. I love that for you. I love that for you. And that is what is so important to me. All of the things that I'm learning, just to come back and we all win. Everyone that's in my circle.
Yeah.
That's so important to me,
yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why, I really just decided to start sharing, some of my journey, because I've been being pushed to do it for a long time. And
I think people need to hear about it, especially in Black and brown communities. Money is not something that is talked about as far as legacy and wealth building. It's more of, we just got to make it.
Yeah.
And so people need to hear that there are things out there that you can do as a Black and brown person to build wealth for your family. And so I think that you're very knowledgeable about that. And I think that you should share that with people, but not for free.
Ooh. Yeah, that's something else that she gets on me about. So one of the things we just talked about, you and your process with home ownership and how it was so extremely impactful for you.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was important to me was I wanted to ensure that mom experienced the same thing. And so we are currently now recording this in our family rental as we speak. And it was important for mom to have that same that same journey,
Yeah.
right? And though she'll tell you, like, I mean, I did it, for the kids. It's still beautiful to hear her say, so what are they doing up there in our house?
Exactly that way.
Yes. Well, and then how are the tenants doing? Are they doing okay? It's about time for them to get out of there. They've been up there too long. Every time they up there too long,
something happens.
And she's right.
Very much so.
Right.
Very much so.
She's so
That's
right.
also because she likes to come stay and hang out too. So,
and isn't that a beautiful thing though? How does that feel? Because with us growing up, like we were in transition and in between two houses, when we were coming up.
Yeah.
We started with humble beginnings. And we still remain very humble, but we have been blessed and fortunate. And talk about that. Talk about how it was for you. I always talk about how it was for me, but how was that for you?
Which part?
Just watching it come to fruition.
Oh, this process?
Yeah.
And see, I was away in Jamaica, so I didn't get to experience the closing.
But no,
I felt so distant from it. But my boys were here.
Yeah, that was your representation. I'm not talking about that though. I'm talking about the process, the journey of us getting it. You don't just walk into a home. No. It's typically a 3 to whatever month, the process of me looking for the property, us deciding that we were going to do it. Like there were conversations that had to be had with mom because there was a mindset shift.
For sure. That
we had to go through. So there were a lot of conversations. Mom will clown us, but we have to gang up on her sometime, and then we gang up on each other. Then, we switch.
But that's great support.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it's funny because anytime one of us is in trouble or something, we're like, we were just waiting for you to be told.
Yes. I mean, it was great to see mom be able to experience home ownership. And again, that's just a mindset shift too. Mm-hmm. And so mom, we had to keep coaching mom because that's just not what mom's mind was. Mom was like, we're good. I'm good. I don't really see, I'm not living in a house.
Why do we have to do that again?
All of those things. But it was great to see the excitement when she got to the end. Mm-hmm. And even though I wasn't here on closing day, my boys were here on closing day. Mm-hmm. You could just see the excitement on her face in those pictures. And it was just great to experience it because we know what we went through. And she knows what she went through, and without even telling us some of those things. Mm-hmm. And just to see that come full circle for her was a beautiful thing.
I think it took time also too for her to process it. Yeah. It was a lot to process. I think I would watch her and I would ask her, like, are you happy? Are you sad? And she's like, I'm still processing it. Yeah. I don't know that she ever really thought that it was something she was going to do. Yeah. And so that was so beautiful to even just be able to do that, for her. But in the midst of that journey, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that with mom, because mom is gonna be a part of this series too. We had to go through pushing credit, and we were able to push her credit 100 points. Like that is not easy.
No,
and that wasn't within 9 months.
Yes,
right, because we wanted to make sure that we were able to get the top level in terms of product, in terms of lending, because we know that definitely matters, and so. That was a whole fight.
It was.
And I would call you and be like, talk to mom, please.
It's the call your mother. We always say that.
Like it's not my mother. Oh, right. I was being nice. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We've had our property now for 3 years. We've had, a lot of people come through here, service some really great, projects. Yeah. And one of the things I also enjoy too, that it can serve as a vehicle of support in times of need for people, because there's been a lot of different tenants and guests that have come through, and for different varying reasons. Yep. And one of them that is always impactful to me is if they're coming for some type of surgery or something. Like we've had so many different types of inquiries, that, and we just had a nice tenant that left. Yeah. We'll talk about that on another series, but it's great. It's great because everyone is always going to need housing for some particular reason. And so it's been working out well. It's a lot of work though.
I told her that. I mean, I work in homelessness in DC, and so I've had that experience. So going into this journey, I shared with Nick, like,
because remember we were looking at DC first, and you were like, no.
Yeah. 15 years of working in homeless services in DC. I just wanted to make sure her expectations were met because I know my sister, and if you know her, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I just wanted to ensure that she was going the avenue that I knew her expectations would meet. And it just wasn't in the district. I love DC.
We're native Washingtonians. But we have nothing against the city.
Let's just be honest.
We've just outgrown it.
Yeah, it happens. I'll always work there, though. I love giving back to the residents, but that's where we are. So
for sure.
Cut this part.
So, all right, you have been watching me on this journey. You've watched when I started back in 2018 when we started in an investment space and all of the conversations, that I've had with you about it. Even before that, though, because I've always been very conscious and aware of my money, since you've known, right? Talk to me about how you've watched that journey evolve even more. So now, from when I started really pursuing in the real estate space very actively and heavy to now.
Wow. It's been great to watch.
Aww.
And I also think just your journey over the last 6 years has really allowed you to reach for your full potential, which I think that's a beautiful thing.
Oh, wow.
And all of the things that you do for your son and even with your businesses with an S, it has just been great to watch it. You talked about it, and when Nikki talks about something and she's going to do something, she is going to do it, whether she gets frustrated along the way, but she's going to do it. And some of the things that she was working on recently were taking a little bit longer than she felt as if they should have taken. But I had to keep reminding her that, when we're working to get to different spaces that we're not used to or spaces that are just maybe not as comfortable, it takes a little time. And you have to learn along the way the tidbits that you need to learn, but you'll eventually get there. And we can't just jump to the finish line. We got to walk through.
I want it done.
The line. And I have to remind, but it's been great to just see you in all of the things that you've done and been through and be here today talking about it on her new YouTube channel. I am just a happy sister because this is some of the stuff I've been telling her. You really should do this. You really should do that. You really should do this.
I was like,
but
no.
I'm happy to see that she is living out her dream.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Thanks, Mamie. It's so funny to see the role reversal and how I have pushed my siblings so much and have given so much and imparted so much in them, and to watch, the fruits of those labors with them, and now turn around and they offer some of those same things to me. That's a beautiful thing too, because she will stop me in my tracks when she sees me churning, and she's like, hold on, Nick. Like, your expectations are unrealistic because in those cases they are.
Yeah, well, it happens.
I mean, I think that also comes from me just being an overachiever, and
you're a doer. Like,
I know
when you set your mind to something, you're going to reach that goal. And if you don't reach it the way you think you're going to reach it, you're going to find a way to reach it. There's nothing wrong with that.
All things out the way.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So that's great. It could be a gift and a curse.
I think, oh boy, yeah, for sure. Because I think when you're in overdrive, and you're
autopilot is what the group chat likes to call it in my phone.
That what
autopilot.
Okay. you don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
And so I will say, and I thank you for that, because my sister is one that's because of the line of work that she does, she's very good and big on setting boundaries, because I don't always know how to do that. I'm a natural nurturer, giver. I want to see everyone in my community win, so I want to help everybody. I am learning that I cannot save the world. I'm certainly learning that, but she always is on me about ensuring that I set boundaries and that I give myself time to rest, which is why I'm on that journey too, with pausing, and understanding what I need from my body.
Yep.
And listening to my body, which is why I really started. I'm going to talk more about that too, about my health and wellness, journey that I have been on for some time, and the evolution of that. She used to tease me. Well, she still does tease me. And Nick, I look back at your pictures and it looks like you had on a fat suit. I was like, oh gosh, great.
It did. I know I'm fluffy right now, but I'm just saying, if y'all see pictures of her
and
6 years ago.
But that's what and being intentional, and being purposeful looks like, and being disciplined and committed to you. Like, I really decided to become very deliberate and intentional and purposeful, and just start to pour more into myself. But through this pouring into myself, I am now allowing myself to give back in this capacity as well. And I am super excited that you guys are going to join me on this journey. I just want to thank you for starting off this series, which is the Legacy Builder conversation, that I'm going to be talking to a lot of women that are in my circle that have watched my journey, that I've impacted them on their journey. I thought it was just perfect for me to start off with my sister, my ex, my Mamie. So is there anything you want to tell the people before you leave?
I am just excited to see where this is going to go for you. I know that you are working towards some other things. And this,
we'll talk about that.
It's one of those things that's going to help you in that next chapter.
Because this is a year of transition.
Yeah. And so I'm really looking forward to it. I'm so glad that you're starting it. And I can't wait to be along for the ride, girl.
I love it. So this is just a little glimpse of some of the things that are going to be on our channel, on my channel. Oh boy. Right.
We'll do a podcast
It's all collective. It's all collective. We're going to be talking about credit scoring models, business credit, investment vehicles, loans, financial literacy,
and your health and your wellness.
Yes, my health and my wellness, creative learning, all types of things. I just want to share this journey with you all, and I hope you all join. So if you like what you've seen so far, make sure you like the button once or twice. Also, subscribe to the channel so you can join us on this journey. And what's the last thing we want them to do, Jamie?
Go over to Facebook and join the group.
All right, now we'll see you on the other side. I am Nikki Dade, your wealth builder. See you on the other side.